This is Mexico, land with the charming air of mañana. Mexico City, the capital, is located in the south-central part of the country. This great metropolis is the largest city of the Western Hemisphere and the oldest city on the North American continent. It sprawls broadly across a high plateau that was once a lake bed. The city is filled with unusual monuments. Many dip back into the history of past civilizations. For example, these pillars represent 6 student cadets who died defending an Aztec castle. Even Xochimilco floating gardens are a carryover of pre-Columbia days. When the city was an Aztec island, floating baskets of dirt grew plants for the Indians. As the roots grew through the baskets and took hold in the shallow lake bed, new land formed and enlarged the city. Today, history is partially preserved. Festively decorated paddle boats ply the canals with thousands of people. Women in little canoes pull alongside tourists to bargain their artistic wares. An impressive monument signifies the independence Mexico won from Spain in 1821. Each corner of the base contains the remains of a hero of the independence. 110,000 students are enrolled at the National University of Mexico. Stone mosaics on the library building depict Mexican history from prehistoric days to the present time. 7.5 million stones were used in this mural art. The pyramids of Mexico are included among the most important archaeological sites in the entire world. The dramatic setting just outside Mexico City adds to the aura of mystery and timelessness that surrounds them. The Pyramid of the Sun is so situated that the sun sets exactly in front of it on the day of the summer solstice. Mexican pyramids were not burial chambers as in Egypt. They were used for religious ceremonies and as platform bases for their temples. For years, Mexico has struggled to integrate all its people through nationalism and a common way of life. Today, Mexico is held up as an example of stability to the world. 3 great mountain ranges divide Mexico. Each is a forbidding barrier. Each is staggering in size and virtually impenetrable. Landscapes across the country offer extreme contrasts, from tropical forests where rainfall is measured in feet to sun-scorched savannas. From plains of cacti and lush valleys rich with fruits to sterile highlands where impoverished people boil weeds for scant nourishment. Mexico is a land exploding with the gospel, a land where an average of 44 persons a day are being baptized into the Seventh-day Adventist message. The membership of 123,000 is distributed among 2,300 congregations. Large congregations that worship in beautiful modern sanctuaries like the Central Church in Mexico City, to small rural congregations that meet in the open air. In South Mexico, entire villages are keeping the Sabbath. 850 of the 1,000 people in the remote village of Los Naranjos are Sabbath school members. Thousands of people make pilgrimages from great distances to the strong Catholic center of Tila. Through little transistor radios, 2 families listened to the voice of prophecy. One family began talking about a new faith. They were driven from the village, but secretively, word about the Sabbath began to spread. Pastors came to visit. Their lives were threatened. New followers were persecuted. But through the power of the gospel, 80 of the villagers are now keeping the Sabbath. The little village of Mensabunk is at the end of a long, bumpy road. Mensabunk is a community of indigenes who live in the Chiapas jungle of South Mexico. These Lacandon Indians survive in almost total isolation from the outside world. They live primitively, follow ancient crafts, practice crude methods of agriculture, and speak their own language. Henrique, the village caller, stood in the courtyard.
Coten Mauricio! Coten Domingo! Coten Maringue!
One by one he called the villagers to worship.
Los que hicieron conmigo pacto con sacrificio.
For these people to have become Christians is a miracle of God. The story goes that a young Mayan Indian came to the village to start a school. The Lacandones rejected him. After several weeks, he packed to leave. That night he had a vision and was told to stay.
There are now 82 Sabbath school members here. These people are so happy that the church has sent them a teacher, and 28 of the children attend school.
Alwyn Norton says these people loaded their idols in a boat and buried them in a deep lake. Alwyn flew a judge to the village to marry the couples. Then a pastor baptized them.
Dios tiene chicana, gracias Adventist. Bewa yon atani yung tek muita bendecir dom. Bendecir tuola de hermanos, calon tu hermana. Chichin dumuga tisha.
These people gave up polygamy. They laid aside their feathers and jewels. They stopped using tobacco and liquor. They set about to clean their village and lead different lives. Mission leaders stood with some of the Lacandones on a hill overlooking the lake that covers the heathen idols. Here, they said, we will build a new church to worship our God. "25 years ago, a lay preacher walked the rugged hills leaving magazines with all who would accept. Today, 160 members are singing about the second coming of Jesus because of a contact a layman made with a Pentecostal pastor. Bartolome says he was once in charge of 20 Pentecostal groups. When he began to preach the Sabbath message, many of his people became angry and turned away. Others accepted. For 2 years, they kept the Sabbath, not knowing about Seventh-day Adventists. Sergio Montezuma, lay activities director of the Inter-American Division, translated Barto's words.
They are very happy to join with the Seventh-day Adventist movement.
Barto went on to say that he and his associates aim to reach every person in every village of their area. They are studying with families one by one. The manager of the Mexican Home Health Education Service looked at his office workers, men and women responsible for packaging, shipping, and billing books throughout all Mexico. These workers, he said, are part of the 2,100 people involved in the bookwork in our country. Then he reported that his 2,000 colporteurs chalk up sales of nearly $3 million annually. A map pinpoints the radio stations carrying the Voice of Prophecy broadcasts.
Años atrás, la voz de la profecía solamente se irradiaba en una sola estación, ahora en 78 estaciones. A few years ago, the Voice of Prophecy was in just one station, today in 78.
The attention of Sabbath school members during the first quarter of this year is on the educational needs of the church in Mexico. Since 1942, a school has been growing on 230 acres of land in the shadow of the Sierra Madre Orientale Mountains of northern Mexico. From a small beginning, this school has developed into a university with 10 major fields of study. The president of Montemorelos University says student enrollment has surpassed all expectations.
The enrollment in this campus is nearly 1,800 students now. This is almost 3 times the number of students that we had 6 years ago. Unfortunately, we do not have room for more. This year, we turned away almost 700 students.
In Latin countries, Seventh-day Adventist youth are faced with a grave decision: loyalty to their faith or to their career training. Government schools operate 6 days a week. Often classes and tests are scheduled on Sabbaths. So the dream of hundreds of youth in Mexico is for an opportunity to attend school at Montemorelos. A significant part of the speedy growth has come through the medical training program. The original Montemorelos Hospital was opened in 1947 and offered opportunity to include some professional training classes at the school. It was not until 1975 that Montemorelos University earned status to register students for complete medical training. With such an extensive move forward, it was necessary to begin construction on a new, modern medical complex. The German government provided $2 million for the first stages of development. The Inter-American Division is now faced with the exigency of completing this hospital. To help meet this need, Sabbath school members are urged to give liberally this 13th Sabbath. It is imperative that the church establish such training centers. Mexican students cannot look to the Loma Linda University School of Medicine. If a student has not received basic schooling in the States, medical schools are not open to them. The 1979 graduating class at Montemorelos University included 27 physicians. Enrollment in the School of Medicine has now reached 181. These youth are dedicated to a cause that reaches beyond the classroom and the laboratory. Scores of them are involved in doing clinical work, giving health lectures, and holding 5-day plans. This strengthens the image of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in the surrounding communities. Theology majors display a purposeful spirit, an urgency to get on with their role in spreading the gospel. Across a radius of 75 miles, they are holding meetings and giving Bible studies. Each year, they set their sights high for baptism. Always, they surpass their goal. From the campus of Montemorelos University, this is Mission Spotlight reporting for the Inter-American Division.